sitting here with the Rebel 70 on the bench in front of us after our test flight,
Yes.
and it's always a good day if the model's in one piece, right?
Definitely, yes.
And the Rebel 70 came through in one piece, and very solidly so.
Yes.
In fact, we both were involved on the build on this one, and we did it here at your studio.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and cover the build aspect and the model characteristics. Start off with build as advertised. We give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, everything went together according to the instructions. One thing that we did find with this kit pretty much throughout the whole thing is there are a lot of tight tolerances as far as pilot holes for the screws in relation to where the screws are lining up. Not that they don't line up, but you need to take a few minutes and make sure that the screw is finding its way into the pilot hole. The only one we did have an issue with was in the back for the vertical stabilizer assembly. This back hole did not line up at all with the pilot.
So you said to pre-drill.
We had to drill out the plastic piece here a little bit to get the screw to line up. Not a big issue, but other than that, everything went together according to plan.
It's a very snug fit. The main wing's a very snug fit on it. I remember it really popped. When you get finished, you have nice clean lines.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And no gaps. But
take your time. Don't ramrod this thing together. Is it, because you just got to let things line up.
Every screw goes into a wood backer, and it should, or plastic backer, and it should snug up nicely. If it's kind of spinning around, you just miss the pilot hole. So back it out, get a little flashlight or get a good eyesight on it, and try it again.
Yep.
Finish, gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. It's foamy, but it's a nice looking foam. It's got good lines to it.
It looks great in the air.
Yes, it does. It really does, and it looks good on the ground. I mean, taxiing out on the runway there, it looked really nice. Had good lines to it. This does have a tremendous amount of stickers on it. You'll find that these stickers are going to warp a little bit and wrinkle and stuff, but that's just inherent with a lot of, whenever you have a lot of pressure-sensitive stickers put on.
And things don't stick well to EPO foam.
No, they don't.
So it's a more resistant foam. Good and bad. It's more durable, but it's harder to get things to stick to.
Exactly.
Power, we gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, this thing does not lack for power.
70 millimeter ducted fan. We fed it with a 2550 milliamp 4-cell 50 pack from Flight Power.
Yeah.
So 50C discharge, 6C charge is the specs on the battery, and it's 2550 milliamp. Had the right power, but we had the wrong capacity.
Yes.
So we'll get into that in flight time.
Yep.
But great power. That 70 millimeter ducted fan produces everything you'd want and more in this size EDF.
Without a doubt, yeah.
We've finally taken that turn in the last couple of years to where our EDFs are powerful now instead of
and we're finding too that there's a lot less parasitic drag, I guess you could call, with these foam planes. The lines are getting much cleaner, and they're really using the most of what power they do have available.
They feel like a build-up or a composite body in the air. The smoothness of the EPO is just amazing.
Yeah.
So, and this one in particular, actually, the products that are used on the eRC have a really smooth finish to them. I've noticed.
Yeah,
just
they
when
do.
you get your hands on it, it's really slick, and there's some nice tight cells as well that they use in the EPO on the Rebel 70 and the eRC line. Ground handling, gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
Ground handling was a little bit of an issue as far as it wanted to track. Not track the way you want it to track, but it wanted to catch lines and grooves. I think a lot of it has to do with this landing gear. This landing gear is extremely springy, which is good, but its side stability is, its lateral stability is not really what it should be.
I think because we were flying it on a gusty day too.
Yes.
As we would catch a little bit of crosswind, it would flex the gear so much that it'd start to track in an opposite direction. So you're like fighting your trim. Right? Am I trimmed right? Am I trimmed left? What's going on here? So you had to drive it off the ground. But it drove well, low rates, and it handled just fine.
I mean, it wasn't an issue as far as trying to keep it straight to be able to even get it off the ground.
Exactly. So. Durability, got a 4 out of 5. Yeah,
durability scored actually pretty high considering it's a foam plane.
And considering the landing we gave it?
Yeah, well, the landing was, tested it. And believe it or not, this thing went on its top.
Yeah, you'd never notice it.
Not gently either.
No, it slid on its top.
It slid on its top, and you would be hard-pressed to find where it slid. And I was completely amazed. I expected to pick it up and find everything road rashed.
Right.
And it wasn't. It even slid on its canopy, and there's not even really any scratches on it.
No, it did. It held up to it extremely well. Yeah. So now we go over the pilot experience.
Yes.
The other side of the coin.
Hand that to me, sir.
I know flight is advertised as our first category.
Yes, 4.5 out of 5.
It was a fun flyer. It had plenty of power. That helps a lot. Anhedral tails with relatively small elevators.
Yeah.
you definitely felt that. You needed more. I needed to mix in more throw or back the rates down, the dual rates down, and bump those up more towards the high rates on the vertical stabilizer. So you're going to want to take that into consideration when you fly it, you set up your model. Give it a little more even than what the directions recommend on low rates for the elevator, and you won't find yourself porpoising and getting crazy on it if you get your balance right. You're gonna be glad you have that additional authority. The ailerons and low rates were absolutely fine, but it cuts a great line. It looks fantastic in the sky, and it wasn't walking all over the place. You didn't feel like you were trying to chase it back. In fact, very, very little trim at all on this thing. When I took it up, it was solid as a rock. When you're landing, it has the typical challenge you get with a lot of, and we were talking about at the club today. A lot of the Delta wings have a challenge when you get into that ground effect. You're kind of sliding around on top of there, especially when you get a strong headwind, which we did. It never fails. Every time you get it up in the air, the wind goes from 2 to 10 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Just hits you immediately. We're trying to bring it in, and it's coming in really heavy headwind, which is great for bringing it in a little bit slower, but it really starts walking around in that ground effect. And the Rebel 70 is going to wake you up when you come into that ground effect with a fairly stiff headwind. It's going to be everything you got to keep it nice and smooth. The best thing you can do with this is have plenty of run-out space. Bring it in kind of hot and kind of straight, and let it ride it out a little bit.
You got to drive it into the ground.
You're going to be a little happier with it instead of doing a nice, nice flare and a nice stall landing at all. So.
Now, with that said, the next category, flight time, had a lot to do with that landing.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, we ran out of juice.
We gave it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, and all fairness aside, you didn't get a chance to really come in with a powered landing because on your final turn, it went dead on you.
Yeah, I ran out of juice.
And that surprised us both. We expected to get a little bit more runtime out of that.
I did. It's not the most efficient power plant from a power consumption standpoint. It puts out plenty of thrust. So what I will say, though, is we fought nose balance on this. We fought CG a little bit when we set it up. We had a 2550 milliamp 4S battery, and moving that all the way forward, I still was at a level of even CG. And with these ducted fans, bringing them in, getting a little bit of nose heavy is going to require you to bring it in, and it's going to sink a little heavier on you. So I think that would have helped. It would have been, you'd have been able to keep the elevator up a little bit more, keep the power on just a fuzz, and it would have come in and really reduced that approach speed. But with a bigger battery pack, if you can get up to a 4,000 milliamp or 3,500 milliamp, perfect size. Get it in there and you'll appreciate the runtime, because at that point then you're extending the runs out to 7-8 minutes. Right now, the way it's set up with our 2550, we were pushing 4.5, 5. I'm pushing 4.5, 5. Which is a short runtime for any plane.
Yeah, well, it caught us off guard. I think we were both expecting to get a little bit more out of it, so it wasn't in the forefront of our mind for time management. And
it's EDF, so what do? You take the throttle up to max. You calculate based on cruise and climb out, and you actually run at max.
You're not going to cruise around at half throttle with this thing.
It looks too good. It looks too good screaming past you like a 20 or 30 degree bank.
So we kind of got caught off guard with that, and the landing was just a little bit rougher than we
tad bit rough.
But here it is in one piece.
It is. It's arrived.
Field size, we've got large park or large field.
A large park or a field, I'd say. You could fly this at it would be a hard press. When you get the EDFs and you get to a plane that can scoot up there around 60, 70, 80, I mean, a park flyer really should be 60 mile an hour or less. By all rights. So if you've got something that goes over 60 miles an hour, get it out to the flying field. Get it out to a private property or something like that. You don't want that around cars and people and stuff. So this is really ideally a flying field plane. But you could do it at a large park if it's sanctioned for electric park flyers. You could do it out there. You just give yourself plenty of hard surface to roll out on. You'll be happy. You wouldn't want to take this off on the grass. You'd be getting frustrated with the rollout distance you'd require.
Definitely, and I don't think the landing gear really would. I mean, if it tracked, we had some issues tracking on hard pack.
Imagine grass that rolls every which way.
It would
be a different story.
Be walking all over. Portability, 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5.
It's such a compact little package.
You could fit this in the back seat of any vehicle on its side, and it would
really doesn't.
Fine.
I mean, the fact that it went over on its top, and it didn't really do any noticeable damage to it at all. It's going to handle it and cram to the back of somebody's vehicle.
Definitely.
Really
I think the only thing you might find is you're going to peel some of the decals are going to start to peel just from rubbing on the seat or something, but you're not going to really damage this.
No, very tough.
The most fragile part of this entire frame or plane would be the tail surfaces, and even them.
Oh, they're on there
even
like
then,
a rock,
they're on there good. So, yeah, definitely 4.5. Skill level, you've got it marked as intermediate.
It is an intermediate plane. It's a ducted fan, and it's quick, and it's real slippery. So it'd be a challenge for a beginner. You definitely wouldn't recommend this for a beginner at all. But an intermediate, a solid intermediate, even to a higher upper intermediate, is going to enjoy the flight experience with it. Whereas as a beginner or a low, just somebody transitioning into the intermediate range from their piloting skills is going to get frustrated at getting used to it and handling the speed at which the thing rolls. The roll rate's insane on it. So, yeah, you're going to want to be a little more of an intermediate.
Well, things
pilot.
happen a lot faster with an EDF.
They do, and you got to plan for them a little bit, Boy. Yeah. It's not a tractor designed airframe from the stand of a prop plane, to where you can come in and just kind of pull that landing off with the nose nice and high. You've got to drive it into the ground a little more. So.
Well, you get in trouble with one of these and try to get up in the air to give yourself a little breathing room. You're still in trouble. You're just a few more 100 feet up in the air.
Just keep in mind, if the first time for you flying your EDF, you should land it 5 times on your single landing. Your first landing should actually be 5 landings. You should go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're doing it right then. It takes a while to get used to, and they have a real tough time sitting down. So
yeah, they do.
It's just par for the course. So like I said, you want to come in a little hotter, a little longer. You want that space to roll out, and then you can actually one land it. You can single land it on the first landing.
There you go.
But that's our review of the Rebel 70 from eRC. A great little plane to fly, plenty of power. Just keep in mind those couple things we mentioned. And see if you can bump that pack up a little bit in capacity, and you'll be a lot happier. You'll be happier with the slightly nose forward CG2 from a handling perspective, both on just general takeoff, but also landing. You're really going to appreciate it on landing. So that's our review. I'm Kurt with Two Brothers Hobby.
And I'm Rob. Thanks for watching.